Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode 3 to be exact, of
Beyond the Bricks,
Real Estate
and Life Lessons.
All right, so today, I'm your host, Ransford Owusu, and my wonderful co-host over here,
O'Dane Harding.
All right, so today we're going to talk about pros and cons of pre-con versus a resale property.
Yes, sir. So, there's a lot to talk about there. One thing to note is if you're thinking about buying pre-construction, use a realtor. Use a realtor.
I'm just going to add in real quickly. Use a realtor, period. Preferably us. That's what we're here.
Absolutely. Right.
Because you always want an expert opinion and you want to ensure that the job gets done right. And of course, as realtors, when you work with us, we have your best interest in mind.
Yes. So imagine you go to a sales center, you go direct, you're thinking you're saving money. You might not necessarily be. And actually, in most cases, you're not, because the commission, or let's say the price that you're purchasing the property for, is the price. They're not discounting how much it would be should you have used a realtor, right? The price is, let's say, for example, the place costs $1 million, and you walk in with a realtor. They're not going to say, okay, well, we were planning to pay realtors 2%, so let's knock that 2% off the price and give it to you. They're not doing that. They're still going to offer it to you for $1 million. And when you go direct to the builder, they're working on behalf of the builder, of themselves. They're not looking out for your best interest. So walking in with a realtor, you have somebody looking out for you.
All right, thank you. That's beautiful. So that's a perfect segue. So let's get started. We're going to start off with resale. So we'll talk about resale homes, and we're going to start off with the pros. So I'll start off with the first pro, Dean. So for the first one is immediate possession. So what does that mean? Simple terms, with a resale home, you typically have the right to move in after closing, once all the paperwork and legalities are over. So you get immediate possession, and you don't have to worry about if the project, or in this case the resale home, is ready or incomplete. Usually they're incomplete. That's why we call them resale home, because it's a finished product.
Absolutely, absolutely. The next pro for resale is moving into an established neighborhood. All of the shops and the amenities in the neighborhood are already there, and you're not waiting for them to be built. So shops, schools, transit, it's all there. The roads are finished, the driveway is finished, all those things are done.
Awesome. So the next pro is known conditions. So what I mean by that, with the resale home, you have the ability, just before closing, when you're working with a realtor, let's say you are the purchaser, you are allowed to inspect the home twice. So with the inspection, you get to see the layout of the property, and on top of that, you get to ensure that if there's any potential issues, any concerns, that could be addressed before closing. Us as realtors, whenever representing our clients, we will do our due diligence, of course. And if there's something where, worst case scenario, rarely happens, but if we miss something that, the client may have noticed, we can have that conversation with the listing agent and get everything rectified in a timely manner. So that is a benefit. So what's the next one? Were you going to talk about the next pro for resale?
Yeah.
It's point number 4.
Negotiating flexibility. Now, when you have your realtor represent you to purchase a resale home, as long as it's not a bidding war, you can pretty much negotiate with the other realtor or you with the seller for to get the price lowered or to add something in. But with a builder, you don't really have that option. Their price is their price. Their deposit structure is their deposit structure. If they offer incentives, which they're kind of doing now because the market's not the greatest for pre-con, but it is what it is with the builder versus when you're buying resale, you can negotiate.
So just to add on to that point, my good man, is also keep in mind with regards to negotiation flexibility, you touched on it briefly, but I just wanted to add on to it, is that it also depends on the market conditions and the seller's motivation. So that is another key factor. So as realtors, when we're representing the buyers, we try our very best to use our negotiation skills and see what is motivating the seller, if that information is privy to us, of course. All right, so we're going to the next point for a pro, so a benefit of a resale home, and that is historical data. So you can touch on that if you like.
Yeah, purchasing into an established neighborhood, you're able to see other similar homes, what they've sold for. You're able to see how much the price have appreciated over time, and you're able to come to a clearer picture of how much the home should sell for, and you're more educated. Whereas for pre-construction, there's no comparables. You can't compare it to anything.
That's it.
All right, so that's what we have for. Actually, no, we're gonna go into the cons of resale now.
Got it.
So, limited customization. You get what you get. You can potentially ask the seller to do things for you, but you're probably not going to get it unless it's fixing something that's already broken. So you're going to have to take possession of your house, and if there's anything you want to change, you're going to have to go through that construction process of tearing things out and then putting them back in.
Perfect. That's a perfect segue. But before I segue into the next point, to add on to what you're saying, yeah, with for limited customization, self-explanatory. The house is already built, it's already complete, or a condo, it could be a condo as well. The resale home it's a finished product. So what you get is what you're essentially stuck with in the beginning. And this will lead to my second point of a con, which is potential renovation costs. So as O'Dane alluded to earlier, if you wish to make changes to that property, let's say, for example, you're in a condo that might have been 20 years old, as an example, and it's using those old school white fridges and the white stoves that our moms and grandmas cook the hot meals for us, and you want a stainless steel appliance, or the flooring, you wish to change the flooring, or do touch-ups on the wall. That would be an ideal, not ideal, but like an idea to give you an idea of what potential renovation costs may be. So just to give you some insight there. So then we're going to the next con, and that is competitive market. So again, that's self-explanatory. So in the competitive market, let's say if the real estate market's hot, if it's a seller's market, and you're a buyer trying to get in, it's not really favorable for you. And again, as realtors, that's where we come in to let you know what the best course of action will be, depending on the market trends and market demands at that time.
So unknown future maintenance, because you're buying potentially an older home, you don't know if the furnace is going to go, the air conditioning unit might go. With the home inspection, should you do one, and you should do one, you'll know how old those things are. You'll know how long it'll take to do, or you have essentially to do your roof, depending on what, obviously that's dependent on the weather. But there are things that will come up, and they come up with new things. It's just a further period out. So make sure you budget for doing the maintenance that you need to do. And it could be floors, it could be windows, it could be roof, but yeah, there are things that you have to budget for.
So we'll move on to pre-con. So we'll talk about the pros right now of pre-construction properties. So the first one is customization options. So again, with the pre-con, the property's not built yet. So you as a potential buyer, you have the ability to, if it's within your budget, of course, to customize the property to your likings. Point number 2 for a benefit of a pre-construction property is that new home warranty. So pre-construction properties typically come with a new home warranty, providing protection against construction, defects, and major structural issues.
Agree. For different components of the house, there's 1, 2, and 7-year warranties. And we're not going to go into the depths of that right now. That'll be on another show. But just know that when you purchase pre-construction, you do have particular warranties. So if certain things break down, you can go back to the builder, and they will have to rectify the situation.
So the warranty, just so you know the name of it, is the tear-on warranty. So all right, so we'll go to the next point, and that is potential appreciation. So you can talk about that if you like while I sip this water.
Yeah, so I mean, for this one, potential appreciation, a lot of times what happens is when you purchase a pre-construction, let's say for a condo specifically, it can be a long wait before you take possession. For example, I sold some units in 2016, and my clients just moved in this year.
That's a low-key flex, huh? 2016, huh? Flex over here.
2016, a lot happened in 2016. Yeah, shoot, let's talk about it. I got my real estate license, my daughter was born, and my clients bought pre-construction. So that's what happened in 2016.
So now we'll go into the next point, and that's modern features. Would you like for me to talk about this, or do you want to?
It's all yours.
Thank you, appreciate it. So modern features on a pre-con. So this is a benefit. So this is a pro. So modern features is like, up-to-date ventilation systems that meet, whatever the Ontario health and safety standards may be. Another pro for modern features would be, for example, energy efficient appliances, using modern technologies and methods to help design and create the particular property. So essentially, to simplify, modern features is just not modern, technology, appliances, keeping up with the times. So your home looks nice, new, and has a lot of fancy gadgets.
Okay.
So the next con is for you.
The next con.
The last pro.
The last pro, yes. The last pro.
My apologies, people.
Delayed payment. So, depending on what's happening in the market, a delayed payment can definitely help you get into the market. One client I had specifically, she wasn't sure she could get into the condo because she looked at the total payment and said, I can't afford that. And I was like, what if you can borrow from your line of credit?
Well, first, let me stop real quick. You said that your client said they couldn't afford it. But what made the client come to that conclusion? Was it like the hidden cost?
She looked at her current circumstances.
Okay.
Right? So in total, I can't remember the number, but let's say the total down payment was $80,000.
All right, okay.
But it was to be paid out in 4 years. She was like, I don't have $80,000. How can I save for $80,000? Right. So
life happened.
It didn't really happen. It just, she didn't expand her thinking big enough at the time.
So she didn't hire you as a realtor at the time, or was she working with you?
She was working with me. She was interested in this project.
Okay.
And she just said, I can't afford it. I said, so my suggestion was, do you have a line of credit? Yes. How much is it?
That's a good one, yeah.
$25,000. I was like, okay, so you need 20. Can you borrow from the line of credit and pay it back before the next payment is due? And she's like, yeah, I could probably do that. So that's what we did the entire time. She would take money from the line of credit, pay the deposit, and then pay it back over time, and then have enough to borrow from it again to pay the next deposit.
That's smart.
Yeah. Right? So a lot of people will just look and just cancel and be like, yeah, I can't do it. I don't have the money. But you might have resources to get that down payment.
Again, this is why it's very important to hire a realtor so you can think outside the box, because it's an area of expertise. We help you come up with solutions so you don't lose out on one of your biggest, if not your biggest investment in your life. So now we're going to segue into the cons, the negatives, the bad, the boo-boos of pre-cons. So you can go ahead and start that off.
All right, so the first one, construction delays. This is funny because exactly how it could be a pro in one section, as in appreciation of the property, it's a con here because construction delays you don't know how long they'll take. They expected to finish that building in 3 years, and it took 8 essentially.
So we're going to the next con for pre-construction, and that is risk of developer insolvency. So pretty much that means there's a risk that the developer may face financial difficulties, as Odin just literally segued into. So perfect, that was perfect. So those difficulties, that means they can go bankrupt, potentially impacting the completion of the project, or they don't have enough interest in a particular project. So whatever finances, agreement or loan that they did with whatever financial institution they're using, because I believe with pre-con, correct me if I'm wrong here, they need at least 80% occupancy for them to release the remainder of the loan that they want to acquire, so they can put that money into the project.
Right.
That's what I know and remember.
Yeah.
Numbers could be out, but don't quote me. I believe
that. Yeah.
I believe that's how it works. They need 80% occupancy, / interest for the project, and then once they have that, then because they're only allowed a certain amount in the beginning to get the project going. And that's why
center built and whatnot.
Exactly, and that's why pre-cons you tend to see a lot of push, hype, and marketing for it because they need to release that loan, right? So they need to hit that threshold in order to get the remainder of the loan funds to complete the project.
Right, 100%.
So, so that was that's another con. So risk of developer insolvency. Again, just remember, project might be incomplete, developer might go bankrupt. Those are the takeaways.
Yes.
For that.
To add to that,
yes, sir.
Imagine waiting. You put your money down, right? Your hard-earned cash down, and you're waiting 4, 5, 6 years. There's no return on that money, and if the developer goes bankrupt, insolvent, and they can't complete the project, and they just give you back your deposit, you made 0 money, and imagine inflation was as high as 0.8%, I believe, at one point. You basically went negative cash when you put down 100 grand and 5 years later you get back 100 grand. You made zero money. So that's also another potential con with pre-construction. It's a risk, right? Risk versus reward. The next con on pre-construction is the lack of established community. So pre-construction properties may be located in developing neighborhoods, and it's going to lack infrastructure, aka roads. It's going to lack transit. It's going to lack schools for the kids, playgrounds, shops, grocery stores, all those kind of things. So yeah, that's definitely a con, because when you're living in a place, you want to be comfortable in your neighborhood. You want to be able to do certain things. And if those things are not there, then you're going to have to go to another community. You might have to travel a further distance to get those things.
So next con for pre-construction properties is hidden cost. So we briefly talked about it here and there during the episode so far. So what those hidden costs may be, their developer charges, levies, and upgrades can add to the overall purchase price of pre-construction properties. We talked about that briefly earlier. So those hidden costs usually, they may come up near, correct me if I'm wrong, near what? Closing? Usually near closing. But the developer will let you know in advance.
Yeah.
They have to let you know so you can prepare for it, obviously.
The last con that we have for you guys today is limited resale value. So since pre-construction properties are not yet built, it can be challenging to gauge their resale value accurately, especially when there hasn't been
historical data, as I mentioned earlier.
Yes, exactly. So usually what you do in that case is look at comparables in nearby condos and see what their price per square foot is, and then try to compare it to yours. But then there are also other factors that have to be included in that, like
the similarities.
The differences. One condo might have a higher maintenance fee versus the other. One may have a pool and the other one doesn't. So you have to do a lot of research to see what the amenities are, what the maintenance fees are, and square footage. It primarily is the big thing.
So again, this is where your realtor comes in. So when you hire us or use us as your realtor, this is where we're able to help. And we pretty much reduce the stress. We do all the heavy lifting while you can go home, sip on coffee, tea, or whatever it is you like to drink. So yeah, that is a major, I'll stress this out, major point, importance of having a realtor, because the backhand stuff, the research, ensuring, the risk, if it's worth it or not, we do all that as realtors for our clients. To add on to that, ultimately the decision between resale and pre-construction properties on individual preference, budget, timeline, and risk tolerance. So what is your risk tolerance? Can you afford to lose money? Can you wait several years for this project to be done if it's a pre-con? If it's a resale, if it's a bidding war situation, do you have enough in your budget to be competitive? These are all the type of things you should mentally prepare and ask these questions. Of course, when you're dealing with a realtor, he or she will ask you what you can and can't do, what your risk tolerance is. Make sure the realtor has a good team, like when it comes to mortgage brokers, when it comes to lawyers, if you do not have that yourself as a client, because you want to make sure that they have a system in place to ensure that the transaction and the overall experience can be a pleasant one for you. Feel free to add on to that.
I mean, I was just going to ask you a question. If you had a choice of buying pre-construction or resale, what would you choose?
Resale.
Okay.
Resale. The reason being is because right now it's a finished product. With resale, at least I have the option to, have my, my top 3, top 10 properties, whatever the case may be. But the point is, I can look for properties as close as possible to turnkey. So what turnkey means is real estate is the property is literally ready. You just turn the key, everything you want and need is there. It's good to go. So that's what I mean by turnkey.
Yeah.
Towards pre-con, I'm not waiting, man. I don't like to wait. I do not like to wait. I'm not waiting 4 or 5 years for a project to be done. And the uncertainty for me, like, I just gave you $100,000. It's not ready.
Right.
And I might lose that deposit due to uncertainties that no one has foreseen.
Yeah.
That, for me, no. I rather, it's done. I can, pack in. I can warm up my TV. I can sit back, relax. It's my home. It's my home. It's ready. Home sweet home. That's just me. What about yourself?
I agree with you. Coming from the investor mindset, I'm not really thinking of a home for myself, but more so to invest in. And I like multi-units.
Well, if it's
Right.
if it's investment, that's different. I'll definitely pre-con because then I can stretch my funds, reallocate other funds, and then make that money multiply. That's different.
I'm going to resell both ways.
Well,
Resell
depends.
both ways.
Depends. It depends.
Yeah, I think
For me,
I'm gonna do opposite to you. If I can buy a piece of land where I want it and build my own home for myself how I want it, I would do that. But for investment, I would rather buy something. Honestly, for investment, I'd rather buy an apartment building if I had it like that.
not if, when.
When I have
Power
it
of
like
the
that.
tongue. When.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
Apartment buildings already established, already good paying tenants in place. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Awesome. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's so far the real estate portion of today's episode, talking about the pros and cons for both resale properties versus pre-con properties. Now, you have any life lessons for the audience today? And I would get tied into this episode, possibly.
I'm gonna flow off your energy today.
You always fight off my energy. Stop acting like you ain't. Been having the sauce. Get out of here. So, for me, with regards to tying this life lesson, tying in together real estate, the biggest thing is preparation, and also having uncomfortable conversations. You have to be realistic. You have to know what you're getting yourself into, if you can handle the risk. Make sure you have a professional that, as you alluded to, that you trust, you have a good rapport with, but more importantly, can do the job. And they have a team set in place. So if you have any questions about certain documentations, your real estate agent should have a lawyer that you'll be able to communicate with you so they can simplify the terminology and make sure you have an understanding of what you're getting yourself into. So that I believe that, being prepared, showing humility, so asking questions if need be, right? And another way you can tie this into life lesson is with whether it's resale or pre-con, there's always going to be uncertainties in life. So it's how you deal with things.
I wanted to say a life lesson as I'm looking outside and it's gray and it was rainy and whatnot. You got to be able to stand the rain because on the other side of it is green grass, it's flowers blooming, it's the trees, leaves coming out. And in life, we have seasons. We have fall, winter, spring, summer.
This
right?
is true.
It's not always going to be summer, obviously, unless you're in the Caribbean or whatnot. And even to them, it's and like places in Africa, for example, sometimes it's cold, right? So you have to go through those periods in either your purchase or selling your property. I have a client right now who's looking to sell, and there are certain things that are happening and slowing down the process. But at the end of the day, that process could be slowed down because the market is starting to creep up, and now they're going to be able to hit a higher number than what they originally expected. So just being able to withstand the negatives that come, because again, is there anything as such as negative? It's just a reframe of, you know what, this is giving me an opportunity to clarify what I want.
Okay. All right. I get you. I hear you loud and clear.
Trying to stay positive, brother.
Easier said than done, but as long as you made the effort, right? That's what counts.
100%. Yeah.
So I like to say this. So in life, always hope for the best, expect the worst. So essentially, just try your best to be prepared to the best of your ability. And whatever the outcome may be, as O'Dane said, it's not really negative. It could be more of a lesson or just a temporary setback. But overall, as long as you keep going, you keep striving, things will get better. And overall, you'll get to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
100%.
So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, to all the listeners out there or the watchers viewing this on YouTube, thank you. Appreciate you. And as I always say, tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell their friends. Damn it, tell the baby, tell the dog, tell the cat, I don't care. Tell everybody.
Tell them all.
Tell them all. Follow, subscribe. And we're going to keep this going, and we want to provide that value. Any feedback or suggestions you may have, we'll have our Instagram handles, our emails, so you can reach out to us, and let's keep this going. So thank you.
Thank you. Peace.